I think she was accepted very well. She grew up in a man's world. We had many people flying into our ranch, and they were all men. And I think she thought, I can do this. And she knew how to relate to men. My dad was a good teacher.
Her journalism background from high school, coupled with her interest in promoting aviation, was a perfect lead into her introduction of the Dakota Flyer.
When she was in Mott, she said, I knew North Dakota needed a flying paper, and so I took it upon myself to start one. And that became the voice of Dakota Aviation, and it started to include the civil aeronautics news from the state, and then continued on after that, even after she married in 1948.
During the 1940s, Geneva became a member of the Dakota chapter of the 99s, a female pilot organization spearheaded by Amelia Earhart. This group fostered the adventure that followed Geneva.
She admired Amelia Earhart. She did not know her. My dad had met her one time in, I believe it was California. And of course, he talked about her all the time. So Geneva thought, probably if Amelia Earhart can do it, maybe I can too.
Mom was very active in the 99s ladies organization for flying, and she was active enough to go into the Powder Puff Derby, and her fellow pilot that went with her was Audrey Barrett out of Dickinson, North Dakota. And they had so much fun preparing and making that flight.
They flew, I believe, with no instruments other than a compass. I thought that was pretty amazing.
I flew her and 3 other ladies out to Medford, Oregon to a national convention for the 99s. And it was basically their first trip across the mountains. They done all the flying, I just rode, but I was there as a safety pilot, I guess. At least they wanted me to go.
Geneva managed a private airport at Fort Clark in 1946 and assisted with the management of Charlie Wyman's Mott Airport. She also served as public relations director for the Bismarck Aviation Center and was the announcer at air shows throughout North Dakota.
She always promoted aviation and airports around North Dakota. She just saw it as a real a vital part of the future of North Dakota.
In 1962, Geneva's husband, Todd R.J. Oleson, was killed while aerial crop spraying, and Geneva, out of passion for aviation and love of her husband, established a scholarship for future aviators.
She met with Dwayne Larson and my dad, Martin Schow, and the 3 of them decided that the memorial money should go for aviation in some way. And of course, all 3 of them were for young men and women learning to fly. Of course, the final decision was Geneva's.
And I happened to be a person that received that scholarship one year, and so I actually soloed out in Dickinson, North Dakota, where Geneva lived, and stayed with her while I was taking lessons. And she started several other people on an aviation career, and I went on to spend 34 years in the Air National Guard, as my father had before me.
This scholarship has fostered opportunities for several young men and women, and has ultimately produced an Air National Guard pilot, a Navy pilot, and several airline pilots, and one daring adventurer.
And on February 7th, 2013, he wrote, "I shall forever be grateful for the scholarship that I received to begin my flying career."
1964, she re-soloed with her first flight alone.
Todd's death did not keep Geneva's feet on the ground, as she fulfilled a promise to herself by flying again.
One of her goals was to fly again by herself, and she wanted all her daughters to fly or take lessons, so I give those lessons on their birthdays. And I'm very proud to have their name in my logbook. She was a very good pilot, and very safety-conscious pilot. And she was very proud to tell the community that she was, involved in aviation, even though her husband was killed. She loved aviation and people.
She didn't just promote aviation. She thought of the people who were flying, who were involved in it. The farmers, the airline pilots, the instructors, her father. She kept, and her cousins. She kept all of these people in mind.
I feel blessed to have known Geneva and her family, and I'm happy that she was chosen as the 2013 inductee and the first woman to the North Dakota Aviation Hall of Fame.
The North Dakota Aviation Council recognizes Geneva's contribution to the development and welfare of rural aviation, her personal sacrifices, and her great love and enthusiasm for flying. Her life and the contributions of her family have truly advanced and will continue to advance all phases of aviation as Geneva Schow Oleson's pioneering spirit lives on.
Bless her heart.